Hello and welcome to this week's Aiding Your Game. Now, we did plan to do the review on the book of Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. However, I thought we would post that video later this week, possibly over the weekend. Over the past week, maybe week and a half, I've been doing a lot of discussions with other people in the community and talking a lot about GMs and DMs in particular. Now, I wanted to touch a little bit about that in tonight's video, and so I'm recording this on pretty short notice. You can see I'm not wearing my branded shirt and I don't have all of my lighting set up, but I thought it would be a great point as we move away from covering dragons into the next session that we're going to cover, talking about DMs in particular. And the focus of the next bit of our series is going to be covering from a general game master standpoint, not just dungeon master, but game master as well. What makes a great GM versus a good GM, a mediocre GM, a poor GM? Now, as we were talking about this in discussions, one thing that we all really noted is that, like art, like writing, like so many different medias, there is definitely a big part of having something be considered good, great, extraordinary, poor. A lot of it goes into just personal preference. So what makes a great GM for one person may be completely different from what makes a great GM in a different perspective. So how do we balance where we're at in a GM setting, in our GM life, so to speak, in our GM maturity level? How can we determine whether or not we're a good or a great GM? Now, obviously, there are things like the Mercer effect that have added maybe milestones or hurdles or markers on where we consider good or great GMs to be. But I would also argue that there are so many online examples of toxic GMs and toxic DMs and DMs who really did not meet even a good bar for their players. So over the next few weeks, we're going to explore DMs and GMs and really look at some of the things that make good GMs good GMs and what we can focus on as a channel to share in the community on how we can together help each other grow and mature and advance to offer good GM experiences to the players who are out there. Because while there are more and more players out there, there are still more DMs or GMs than there had been historically as well. And it's really easy for people who have played, even in short amounts of time, to decide that they want to start GMing, or maybe even are kind of required to start GMing because they don't have GMs in their local area. They're new to the game, they don't have contacts, and they have creativity, or they have a group of friends or family who want them to start GMing, and they want to share their love of the game and their passion for the games to others, so they take up that mantle of GMing. And in this channel in the past, we've really talked about different tips and tricks and how we can, bolster and grow and build a community and really share some secrets that have allowed me to have a lot of success as a GM. But over the next few weeks, I definitely want to focus a lot more on kind of classifying, breaking down, and discovering what makes good GMs and how to avoid falling into some of the common pitfalls of bad GMs. And again, a lot of this may be through as generic of a viewpoint as possible, just because, as mentioned, there are so many different styles and what appeals to one group of players may not be the same that a different group of players would really view as good or great qualities. And there are a lot of different series and web shows that talk about GMing, everything from Matt Colville to How to Be a Great GM, so many different resources. I will try to give all the credit where credit is due for any of those as I touch on some of their content. One real particular piece that I want to note is most of this is going to be from my own experiences, my own opinions, and so again, there may be some bias there, but I will try to keep it as open and honest and generic as possible to cover multiple game master systems and styles, and really approach it from a view of what universally makes a GM good, better, best, and some of the pitfalls to really avoid as a GM, whether you're new or experienced. I really think the next few weeks we'll have some content that's going to speak to you. In the meantime, we will prepare to launch our actual book review of Fizbins. We've done a 4-part series on the dragons in game. I was super excited to get my copy of Fizbins, and as I kind of anticipated, there was a lot of content that really dives in and helps GMs really look at how to strengthen and bring dragons into the campaign in unique and interesting ways that tie in great story, great storytelling, gives characteristics to dragons so that they are not just monster of the week kind of villains. Really a lot of opportunity to build in lore, some different dragon types that have been explored a little bit in previous editions, but nothing really for 5th. So a very exciting book, and I really am looking forward to getting the book review online. I just really wanted to kind of both put this out there for what our upcoming content is going to be, as well as now asking for some feedback in a multiple bit of ways. The first one is, if you haven't yet subscribed, please go down, hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow. The more growth we can get, the more people we can reach. If you don't mind the notifications, be sure to hit that bell icon so you get notifications when we're posting new content. We try very diligently to get new content up at least once a week. And make sure you give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Please feel free to go back, look at some of our older content. We've got a lot of good content. It may not be as polished and professional as we continue to strive to be. However, there's lots of great content that I feel people can really get some wealth out of. And finally, be sure to leave comments. Let us know content that you'd like us to cover, whether it's everything from how to incorporate miniature and tactical play into your theater of mind games. Maybe it's how to be more theatrical. Maybe it's writing stories, writing adventures, how to bring some of the pre-printed modules to life in more dynamic ways, prepping for games, and helping to grow your own tabletop community. So be sure, let us know what content you're interested in receiving and viewing and discussing and having featured on our show. Of course, check out our other medias. We are on Facebook with Green Oaks RPG Aids, and we also have a Twitch. Every Tuesday we are on Twitch, and currently the process is we're reviewing Reaper Bones 5 miniatures. So everything from unpackaging, assembling, painting, rating, reviewing. Lots of content. Make sure you join us there on Twitch. And for this week, of course, watch for the Fizbins last part, the book review, to drop in tonight's video. Again, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we've got coming up in the future. So leave your comments down below. Let's start looking at what makes various levels of GM and how you can, through your experience and time behind the DM screen, continue to grow, develop, and become that great GM that all players are just dying to have host their games. Watch for our part 1 next Monday.